Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We're here with another Hood video, and this is going to be the Hood Necropolis mini showcase. I don't have a ton of fights. I only have 3 here. I did all of these in a span of about 30 minutes. So that is that's why I have these few. There are a lot of fights Hood can solo. I just don't really have the time to go through the content to get all the solos, so I'm just going to showcase 3 in this video. This first one is going to be Red Goblin, and this is honestly a really bad path for Hood because the node that is on every single fight is the power detonation, and that just kind of sucks for Hood because there are a few times where I just won't be able to reach an L2. Now, the nice thing is that Hood does kind of counter it in the sense where your Fate Seal can make it fail every time you reach a bar of power. Also, you do need to pay attention to the Bloodlust in this fight, and sometimes you do need to let it fall off. But with how many special 2s Hood's throwing and the fact that you're always far away during those special 2s, it's never going to be an issue, and we're never going to have our combat power rate reduced in this fight. In this fight specifically, I wanted to see how much damage it would do if I got to 99 hexes and then I detonated it. So we are going to do that. But first, I'm just going to explain all of the synergies that are on for this fight because obviously this is a fully synergized team. So the main 2 synergies, well, I'll say them in order of importance. The most important synergy for Hood is the one that allows him to get 3 bullets back every time he knocks the defender down, whether it be a heavy attack or a special attack. And the preferred champion that you bring for this synergy is Mojo, because he also has a synergy with himself where he gives you extra combat power rate. Like, it gives everyone else on the team that, so it's just kind of nice to have extra. But the synergy is also with Mole Man, Mysterio, and I believe the final one's Joe Fixit, although don't quote me on that, I'm not 100% sure. But here we're at 88. I'm just trying to get as high as possible. The other second most important synergy is Strife, which just gives Hood a flat plus 50% attack rating while he has invisibility up. So, and that does apply to detonations. So whether you had the invisibility up before you inflicted the hex or not, as long as you detonate with invisibility up, you're going to get the full attack bonus. And here you can see that it does not go above 100. It caps at 100. And if you saw the burst damage there, that was 1.6 million damage when you have 100 hexes with Hood, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, sometimes in this fight we are going to have to get our bullets back, so we're just going to go for a bunch of parry heavies. If you have a defender that you can push into the corner, you can infinitely heavy trap them. Well, not infinitely, but like until they get to a bar of power. And this fight's not going to be close. I think we're going to end this one around 90 charges. And I'm obviously not going to have a voiceover for the whole video, just for the start of each fight and the intro and then the outro. But the other synergy members for this fight that I have are Purgatory, who gives Hood extra ability accuracy, which means that you're going to be power stealing more often on your mediums and your L2 while you're invisible and inflicting bullets. And then the last one is Mr. Negative, and that inflicts a, what is it called? It's a heavy. It's like a heavy, no, it's an energy vulnerability. Yeah, on your heavy attack. That lasts for 7 seconds, which applies to both your special 2 and your detonations. So that is the synergy team here. And then for the other 2 fights, it's going to be the same synergy team, except I'm not going to have Mr. Negative on the team. I misspaced it. But I'm instead going to have Odin on the team to be able to take the other fights, the fights that Hood's not taking, to allow Hood to get to his fights. So I am going to let the rest of this fight play out, and I'll be back for the start of the next one to explain that. All right, we are now back with the second fight, which is going to be Arcus, and this is going to be the hardest fight of the three because Arcus in his kit has a resistance to power steal, which means you are not going to be getting hardly any power back when you power steal here. So a lot of the times we're going to be throwing L2 and getting less than a half a bar of power back, even if I get a bunch of power steals, which is just a little bit annoying, but there's not really anything I can do. You are going to take a little bit of cold snap at the beginning of the fight before you get to your first L2, and then as soon as you get there, you are going to be able to control the power gain. And the nice thing is that the Fate Seal both removes the power gains and it stops them from activating in the future. So you are never going to have to worry about power gain in this node. And also the Necro node, like the individual local node for this fight, just never activates because of the way that Hood works. So yeah, because of the fact that you're not going to be able to throw as many L2s and you're going to be inflicting a lot more bullets with your mediums, this fight is going to take a bit longer. And actually, we are going to completely run out of Necropolis charges right before Arcus dies. So it was very close to not being solo, but I want to just say that this was unboosted, just to be clear. So Hood can solo this fight unboosted as long as you have synergies. Some people were telling me they have gotten other solos without a rank 4, like with a rank 3 Hood, and I don't know. I don't think this one's possible with a rank 3 Hood, but there's definitely the first one I showed and the next one I'm going to show are 100% possible. So I'm just going to let this fight play out. It's a pretty straightforward one because you're not going to have to deal with any of Arcus's stuff. He's not going to have power gain. You're never going to be armor broken as soon as you throw your first L2 of the fight, and you're also never going to be cold snapped. And whenever the staggers are expiring, then you're just going to heal. So while I am going to take a few hits in this fight, we are going to end pretty healthy. So I will be back for the third and final fight. Okay, we are back with our third and final fight of this mini showcase, and this is probably the most fun I had in recording these videos, and this was Airwalker. And the reason is because Airwalker is a very famously hard Necropolis fight. Now, by the time we got the Karina's challenges, we kind of had high ranked champions, and honestly, for the Mutant run, for the Deathless run, for the Gods run, and for the 10-year challenge, he was honestly one of the easiest fights, but that's because we had very good counters for all of those challenges, being Onslaught, Absman, She-Hulk, and Wong, respectively, for each run. But this was still a lot of fun. The one quirk about this fight is that you are going to have to pay attention to his buff. What's it called? The galactic buff or something like that. And you are going to have to knock him down pretty frequently, because if he does gain that and you nullify it, whether it's through stagger or it's from a fate seal on an L2, he is going to go straight to L3. Now, one thing about this matchup I do need to say that was a little bit annoying is, and there I'm just showcasing the heavies in the corner. One thing that was a little bit annoying is that you're supposed to block Airwalker's specials so that you don't get the Dark Tide on you. But unfortunately, if you miss the hit, it does not count as a block and you will get the Dark Tide on you, albeit it's only 35% of the time, because if you have a Fate Seal up, you're going to be failing it 65% of the time. But that is something to keep in mind. And then the other thing is, I mentioned a little bit earlier about having to deal with his galactic buff, where he just gets tons of regeneration. You can nullify it with Hood. However, nullifying it sends him straight to Special 3, so you can only nullify it with the L2 if you are in invisibility, because then you will drain the power after pushing him to the L3, because he goes to the L3 from the first hit, from you throwing the L2 and the first hit landing, and then you will power drain him from the other hit. So you are completely safe to do it that way. And there I actually messed up and I threw the L2 too late, but I actually get a really clutch power steal on that blocked hit there, and we are completely fine. So here, this fight's honestly going to be pretty fast, and it's a pretty straightforward fight where you're just baiting specials, and honestly, you don't even have to bait specials that much if you don't want to. You can definitely play this a lot more power control. Like, you can definitely power control this one a lot more. There we got one power steal on the first hit, which just sucks. But we get repaid back with 4 consecutive medium power steals. I love when that happens. That's just really, really nice. Here we should go for a heavy. Oh, okay, that was probably a misplay for keeping track of bullets. But it looks like I'm just trying to go for a bunch of burst damage right here. And there we go for heavy. Yeah, nice 425,000 burst. And I think that showcasing in such a large health pool like this, where you're not even taking off that large of a percentage, is kind of taking away from what Hood's actually doing, because when he's fighting the matchups and the sizes of health pools that Hood was designed to be able to kill quickly, which is ideally a range of like 400 to 800k, somewhere in there, you can see that you take off a very large percentage of the defender's health, and that's not really the same in Necropolis, but to be fair, that's how literally every champion goes. There's no champion who takes the same percentage of the defender's health off of a Necropolis fight as they do a regular fight, with the exception of champions like Gilly 2099, and that only works for the last 1% or the last 2% or whatever it is. So yeah, this fight was really cool, and I really enjoyed doing it. And if you're worried about needing a full synergy team, I promise you, you don't. With the exception of Arcus, both of the other videos Both the other defenders that I took in this can absolutely be soloed with just the one synergy, with just Mole Man. That's really all you need. Here he's not throwing special, kind of getting worried he's going to get to his buff. So I think we're just going to medium, just one medium into an L3. I do know from experience that the L3 does count as a knockdown for this Airwalker's node, so I'm not worried about that. And there I thought I activated my invisibility, but I must have let go at the last second. And that burst takes him down to a nice 7% health. Now, if you are able to go for a special 3 at the beginning of the fight, and you actually keep up the bleed by heavying constantly, and you have max deep wounds, so you have the time to do it consistently, it can actually add up to a pretty significant amount of damage, especially if you throw the L3 when the defender's at 2 bars of power, so you get a massive increase in the potency. So if you're trying to really optimize them, that is what you should do. However, that's not what I did here, but we're completely fine. We did manage that solo very, very easily. And that is actually going to be it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and please let me know what other content you want to see from Hood, and I will go do it for you. Have a great day, everyone. I will see you later. Bye.